July 19th, 1976, 8:47 a.m. on the beautiful French Riviera. The Société Générale Bank in Nice is opening for the week. A security guard walks down into the basement, approaches the massive 20-ton steel vault door, and turns the key. Nothing happens. The door is completely jammed. It won't budge a single millimeter. Confused management calls in a maintenance crew. It takes them 2 full hours with heavy-duty blowtorches to finally cut through the steel. But when they swing that heavy door open, what they find inside destroys their entire concept of reality. The vault is in absolute ruins. 400 private safety deposit boxes have been brutally pried open. The floor is covered in discarded stock certificates, property deeds, and priceless Persian carpets that are now ruined and soaked in mud. But it's not the stolen money that stops the police cold. It's what's left behind. Scattered across the floor are empty bottles of expensive Burgundy wine. There are remnants of a gourmet feast, pâté, foie gras, and fresh bread. Someone hadn't just robbed this bank, they had moved in. For 3 straight days while police patrolled the streets above, criminals had lived inside the most secure vault on the Riviera like it was a luxury penthouse. And written on the wall in elegant script was a simple, chilling message. Sans armes, ni haine, ni violence. The Mastermind. The investigation that followed consumed 6,000 officers, Interpol and the FBI. But what none of them knew yet was that this wasn't the work of a criminal syndicate. The Mastermind was a 44-year-old small-town wedding photographer named Albert Spaggiari. Albert wasn't your average citizen. He was a decorated paratrooper and a veteran of France's brutal colonial wars in Indochina and Algeria. He survived ambushes, learned to move invisibly, and came home a broken patriot. He despised the wealthy elite of Nice, the bourgeoisie who owned everything but sacrificed nothing. He looked at the Société Générale Bank, sitting in the center of the financial district, and didn't just see millions of francs. He saw a target, a way to prove that the institutions ruling over them were fragile. But he asked himself, what if someone could take it all without guns, without hostages, and without any of the crude violence that gets criminals caught? What if you could enter like a ghost? Albert knew the bank was a fortress above ground, but below, that was a different story. He started walking Nice's ancient sewer system at night. Built during the Roman Empire, these tunnels snaked beneath the entire city. For 6 months, he mapped every junction until he found exactly what he needed: a drainage tunnel running just 8 meters beneath the bank's vault floor. But he couldn't do this alone. He needed a crew. He emptied his life savings and recruited 20 specialists, expert safecrackers, tunnelers, and welders. But Albert laid down one absolute, non-negotiable rule to these career criminals. No weapons, no violence. If anyone gets hurt, the job is off. This was going to be an elegant crime, a masterpiece. For 2 years, they prepared. They practiced opening replica safes, synchronized their movements, and staged exactly how they would move 400 kilograms of heavy equipment through sewage. If you're fascinated by how much insane preparation went into this, take 1 second to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It genuinely helps me out, and you won't want to miss the wild true stories I have coming up. Anyway, back to the sewers. Friday, July 16th, 1976. The bank seals the vault for the long Bastille Day weekend. By 10 p.m., while the city watches fireworks explode over the beach, Albert removes a hidden panel in the sewer and leads his 20 men into the dark. They wade through knee-deep, freezing water, floating their heavy equipment on inflatable rafts. They reach the coordinates and begin the hardest part of the mission, digging straight up. They have to silently carve through 8 meters of compacted earth and 4 inches of reinforced concrete. At 5:47 a.m. on Saturday, Albert's pickaxe finally breaks through into empty space. They widen the hole, climb up into the darkness, and find themselves surrounded by hundreds of steel boxes. But Albert doesn't celebrate yet. He signals for his welder. In a masterstroke of audacity, they weld the 20-ton vault door shut from the inside. Even if a guard heard something, they couldn't get in. The crew now had 70 hours of perfect, uninterrupted isolation. Inside that vault, the 20 men begin a systematic, surgical operation. The safecrackers work in 4-hour shifts to maintain their precision. By noon, 80 boxes are open. They find stacks of cash, gold coins, and diamond necklaces. They also find evidence of affairs and political scandals. But Albert orders the blackmail material left untouched. "We are thieves," he tells them, "not blackmailers." At 6 p.m., they pause for dinner. While Nice celebrates with champagne above, Albert opens a bottle of 1969 Chateau Margaux inside the vault. They spread blankets over the marble floor, eat pâté on fresh bread, and toast to their success. They adopt a rhythm: work for 6 hours, sleep for 2. By Sunday evening, the vault looks like a hurricane hit it. They have opened 340 boxes and secured 60 million francs. It's more weight than they can safely carry. Albert makes the call. It's time to go. At 3 a.m. on Monday, the men descend through the hole one by one, their bags stuffed with gold. Albert stays behind to scatter false clues, cigarette butts from a brand he doesn't smoke, and a footprint from a shoe size none of them wear. He writes his famous Manifesto on the wall, signs it, and crawls back into the sewers just as dawn breaks. For 3 months, the police have nothing. Albert lives as France's invisible emperor, continuing to shoot weddings as if nothing happened. But perfection has limits. 20 men have 20 mouths. In October, a crew member's mistress gets drunk at a bar in Marseille and starts bragging about her boyfriend's sudden massive wealth. A police informant overhears. Within 48 hours, Albert's door is splintered open by 12 officers. They find sewer maps and an 80-page manuscript of a memoir he was already writing. He confesses to everything, but absolutely refuses to name a single accomplice. Albert becomes an international folk hero. The public loves his style, but he is facing years in a concrete cell. March 10th, 1977. Albert is standing in a third-floor courtroom in Nice. He politely asks the judge if he can approach the evidence table to explain a detail on his sewer maps. The judge nods. The guards relax. What is a handcuffed man going to do? Albert leans over the maps, and in one explosive, fluid motion, he leaps onto the table, launches himself at the window, and crashes straight through the glass. He falls 2 stories, lands not perfectly on the roof of a waiting car, rolls off, and wraps his arms around the driver of a waiting motorcycle. The courtroom erupts in chaos. As the bike speeds away toward the Mediterranean, witnesses claim he shouted 3 words: "Au revoir, monsieur." Goodbye, gentlemen. Albert Spaggiari was never captured again. He lived the rest of his life as an international fugitive, wrote 2 best-selling books, and died a free man in 1989. The 60 million francs were never recovered. He proved that every system built by men can be defeated by men. The only question is whether you're willing to crawl through sewage to prove it.